just touched on something with criminals there. They're creative.
Yeah, they are. Well, it's exactly the same, but the guidance is different.
Mm.
You know, I could have gone down the route. I'm sure you could have. I'm sure Paul. It's your environment. You know, we're talking a lot about environment recently, and it is. You know, a lot of people who comment on social media, and it's all about you can't do it. It was easy for you and stuff like that. Well, that's clearly an environment that they're in. I'm not in that environment. Paul's not in that environment. Neither are you. It's about happening, like what's going on, what's the opportunity, who can I learn from. So mindset's obviously a big part of this, but anyone can learn to be a creator, because that's essentially what it is. You know, making something from nothing, and being a bit of a busybody. I've always been a busybody. I think most of us are a busybody. Can't sit still, you know. Even there, as I'm doing Paul's, you know, I'm doing TikTok and I'm uploading, I'm replying to emails. You know, I'm never stagnant, never idle. You know.
I think it's important to stay calm, be still, self-reflect sometimes, but also be creative at the same time. Because if you're still for too long, like as me and Paul have said, then obviously that's a dangerous game. That's a dangerous game. But for someone like yourself, when did you realise that this is just not for me? Obviously school, early doors, but was it before that or just
So
at school?
so when I was in full-time employment, you know, I had a few jobs, but my last one that I was at for many years, I met an old friend whose mum actually used to look after me when I was a child, and they've been family friends for many, many years, you know, going back to my mum, his mum, Nan. I never knew my Nan, but they knew each other. Anyway, he was in property, done very well, family done very well. And he said to me, do you want to get involved in a project one day? I said, sign me up. I knew he was doing very well. And anyway, so we started going into projects. We actually did a couple of, you know, I used to be heavily involved in property nearly 10 years ago. And that's how he got me started. But that's kind of where I was introduced to finance. I went to a few meetings in London when they were talking big numbers, raising money. And I was sitting there thinking, fucking hell, this is like talking about it like it's a fiver. I'm thinking, why are they talking about it like it's so easy? This was in Mayfair. Anyway, I came away and I spoke to one of the guys that was there, and he was like, you know, the presentation was good. You're good at numbers. You know, give me a calculator. I'm good at numbers. Like all the teachers used to say, well, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket when you're older. Well, we do, don't we? So give me a calculator. I'm great with numbers. I've always had a good money smart sort of head on my shoulders, always been very sensible, never kept up with the Joneses. And when I realised the money that some of these people were making, I started going back to London, back and forth. I was back and forth to London all the time, just meeting people, going to different events. I was very likeable. I get on with a lot of people. I was making good friends. Aaron, we want you to come up, meet this guy. We want you to come up, meet this woman. Let's have a coffee. Let's do this. But I was being very picky with my time. Because look, there's so many people, and one bit of advice I would say to people, if you're watching this, I get offered to meet people a lot of time in London, just for like a coffee and stuff like this. It's a waste of my time. It's no disrespect, but what's the point? What are we getting? Where's the synergy? Where's the collaboration? What's the growth? Look, let's have a Zoom. But it's even borderline paying for the Zoom, because time now is so tight that you really have to bear in mind return on time invested. And I started that entrepreneurship journey of going, actually, I like this spice of this entrepreneur world and what my old friend has, this property, that kind of opened the door. As soon as I was introduced to finance and what people were earning, I was like, this is big money. And then when I first done my first ever deal where I earned a high amount of commission, I earned more than my manager was earning at the time in less than a month. You know, it took a few Zoom calls and a few meetings and done. And that was when I was like, okay, I need to do more of this. And how can I do more of this? My network needs to become bigger. My network needs to become richer, because the more rich people I have in my network, the bigger deals I can do. None of this little $2,500 sort of piddly stuff, big numbers. And I'd done that all covered in tattoos. That's the other funny thing about this is you line me up with anyone that sort of does a very similar thing to me. None of them will have tattoos. They'll all talk very toffee and they'll look very different to me, which I think also plays in my favor, because I've managed to push through that barrier, which other people are able to attach to me and go, oh, okay. And that's why a lot of people relate to me, because I'm no wishy-washy. We're sitting here wearing a Rolex. I'm not trying to fluff anyone. It is what it is. So, and then I just doubled down.
There is a stigma attached to people with tattoos on their hands, neck. What would you say to them? Well, people that are looking to start now, for example.
Yeah, so for people looking to start, look, if you have tattoos, unless it's a face tattoo or a real harsh neck tattoo, I think you're going to be fine. I think a face and a harsh neck tattoo around sort of the front of the neck is tough. because it does look violent. And I'm saying that with someone with tattoos. You know, the one on my neck is my son's name. I don't think it's too much in your face. I used to wear turtlenecks. I used to cover them up, you know, back in the day. I'd be sitting in a room like this, sweating my nut off because I was covering up my tattoos. Because the first few experiences in London was, you know, when they shake my hand, it was looking at the tattoos and then on the neck and thinking, okay, I don't know whether he's going to rob me or actually we're going to do a deal, or, you know, so it was kind of that feeling. But when I was being introduced through who I was becoming friends with, they, you know, that settled the dust and stuff like that. And then it was kind of like very, it was an easy entry for me when people knew me.